There we go. So today, when I checked today at 12 o'clock, we are $12.9 trillion in a national debt, y'all. That's that money that can never be repaid. $12.9 trillion in an unpayable debt. How can that possibly be good for us? The real short answer is it isn't. It's not good at all, and it's not good for our children. Cecily, next slide. Let's see what we each owe. Your share is $117,791. Now that was at 12 noon today when I was making this presentation. It's gone up since then, y'all. The national clock's running like a gas meter, man. I mean, it's just, it'll give you a headache to look at how fast our national debt clock is going. But you can look at it, and you should, because it really hits home. And you understand that this is unpayable. And our congressmen know this. Our senators know this. Our president knows this. They know it. But why would they say anything? Because see, they don't have to come to us. They get to go to the Federal Reserve. And you know the Federal Reserve is going to give them the money because they know they're never, ever going to be able to pay it back. And they'll just keep collecting. See, we're paying the interest, y'all. That's what's going on. You know how your house payment or your land payment, you see the print, you pay this much interest, but you pay only this much principal. But you do pay some principal, right? And over time, you're paying more and more principal. That's not happening with our national debt. We're just paying on the interest, and the principal just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger. But it gets much worse. That was the good news about the Federal Reserve System. Who here has ever heard the term fractional reserve banking? Good. So the minority of folks here. What is fractional reserve banking? It's this. It's a magic wand, and I guarantee you that's all it is. Just so you know a little bit about me, and so I know what I'm speaking. I was a financial programmer for 30 years. I've worked for the biggest corporations in America and the biggest government agencies there are. So I know a little bit about banking. I'm not saying that to make you think I'm cool or anything. I'm saying it so that you'll hope, in the hopes that you'll believe me, and if you don't, that you'll go out and look this stuff up. So, what is the fractional reserve magic wand? It's this. The banks are authorized, now I'm not talking about the Fed now, I'm talking about every other bank in America. The banks are authorized if they have $100,000 in hard assets, such as gold, or actual Federal Reserve notes, or somebody's house that has a value of $100,000, they get to wave the magic wand, and they can now loan out 10 times that amount of money. Now follow me on this, because this is imperative, y'all. This is important to understand. This money only exists on a computer ledger. They're digits on a screen. They're not real. They never get printed. So they're allowed to loan out air. So let's say they got their $100,000, they're authorized to loan out $1 million because of the fractional reserve magic wand. Now, who authorizes that? Who authorizes them to do that? The Federal Reserve. That's right. So, let's say, Cecily, next slide. Let's say an individual gets a loan for $100,000 to buy a house. The bank loans the funny money, which doesn't even exist, y'all. It's computer digits. Now the individual has to pay for 30 years of real money that he had to earn. That's his life, his blood, his sweat, time away from his family to get the real money to pay back the fake money debt. Anybody not get that? Let's go to the next one. So look at what happens here. If the individual, heaven forbid, cannot pay the debt after 10, 15, 29, they don't really care how many years, and they get to repossess that house is now an asset. They loaned nothing, took no risk whatsoever. They went and tight. And now this person could go into debt for the house, and if they couldn't pay it off, they get to seize a real asset. They loaned air and get to seize a real asset. And now that real asset is part of their accounting ledger. Here comes the fractional reserve magic wand again. Ding! Now, the house at $100,000, there's another $900,000 of funny money they can loan out and put somebody else in the same situation. Does that sound good? Does that sound like fun? Look at all the houses that are being foreclosed on, y'all. Look at what's going on here. These houses are being foreclosed on, you now understand. The banks didn't take any risk. The banks didn't earn any money to loan it out. They have the fractional reserve wand. Bing. This is not a theory. This is not my opinion. This is the country we live in, right here. You see, I cannot come here tonight and tell you the truth. We're all taught that the truth is something that's subjective, it's individual, belongs to us. How could I give you something you already possess? I cannot give you the truth, you already have the truth. All I can do is give you the facts. These are the facts. It's up to you to decide what the truth is, what your truth is. For me, my truth is to expose these people for what they are. So how did this happen? How did this happen, y'all? Why do most Americans want to restore democracy? Why do most Americans believe they have constitutional rights instead of the God-given rights that we're supposed to be thinking in terms of? How did the children become the leaders? How many times have you heard that? Leaders in Washington, the leaders in Little Rock. They're supposed to be the followers, y'all. I'm so sick of hearing politicians stand up there and say, I've got the leadership skills necessary to move the state forward. Well, I don't want you to have any leadership skills. I want you to have fellowship skills. All right? And we need to call them out on that. So, how did the children give control of the parents' checkbook to the schoolyard bullies? Schoolyard bullies being who? Federal Reserve. Because on December 23rd, 1913, they gave away our checkbook to the Federal Reserve. And they gave away our direct veto power to what they're doing. So how did all this happen? Leslie? Any questions? Do y'all not understand that this is the most important 6 words of everything I've said tonight? The children are educating the parents, y'all. How can that possibly be good? The Constitution was written with one purpose in mind, not to give us our rights, but to restrain the federal government, right? We, the people, are there to protect that Constitution and to make them be restrained. So the people who are being restrained, they now get to educate the people who are there to restrain them. How can that possibly be good for us? When you see this, children are educating the parents, does that make sense? Does it make sense that it should be that way? It's not intelligent. But if you say, the government's educating, everybody's like, oh, wonderful. The government's benevolent, it would never hurt us. The children are educating the parents. I hope if you don't remember anything else I said tonight, that you remember that. Because this is not only the problem, because this is the problem. This is how the Federal Reserve came into being. This is how our health care is being taken away from us. This is why everybody said, yes, I want to restore democracy in America. And I'm not putting you down. I'm saying it to drive it home. Let's leave the next slide. Sorry, I could go on.